Greetings and welcome to Awakening Airways, Wisdom of the Elders. Today's topic with Iya Ifalayo and Iya Ifetayo is Reiki and Spirit Guides. We're really excited to sit together again this month and have a conversation. Have a conversation that we hope will be enriching to you as it is to us. We have had many conversations about the topics that we want to share with you monthly, and really we are. I'm really intrigued of how this particular topic is going to unfold. As you know, when you sit with us, we love to share in a conversation, and we love to invite you in as the listener to ponder some of the things that we are sharing with you, and perhaps integrate some of the practices, some of the knowledge, some of the wisdom. So here we go. So, beloved, how are you today? And
I'm
is
doing great.
everything
How
else?
are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Glad to be here with you. And I'm wondering if you want to open up the conversation this morning.
Sure, I'll be glad to do that.
Yes.
Um, the topic of Reiki and spirit guides is something that I use personally in my Reiki practice, and I also teach about it. And for the longest time, because I learned from my teacher, I wasn't aware that not everybody worked with or connected with Reiki through guides. So when I began to meet more and more people and begin to share information, I found that to be true. So what I did in preparation for today was I went and looked back to, kind of understand where this part came in,
Yes.
and discovered that Usui Sensei did not specifically teach
Mhm.
about Reiki with spirit guides. However, he was very much a believer in spirituality, and because of his personal spiritual practices, understood the realm of spirit, but it was not as included as a formal part of the Reiki training. And so it seems that from what I did look at, that some of that started more with Mrs. Takata, and in the Western aspect when Reiki began, from the Western perspective is what I found in general. Don't want to go all the way into all of that, but just to lay the foundation of our conversation. And so for me personally, I'm a person who's a medium and have been, as far as I know, most all of my life. And so working with spirit guides and ancestral energies and all that kind of thing just is a natural part of who I am. And so I was taught that there are spirit guides that work specifically with us with Reiki. And because I also practice ancestor reference, that was like, okay, that sounds good. That's fine. I'm comfortable with that. But I didn't seek it out. You'll see if you've ever researched that project yourself online, or you can do that now if this is a new topic for you, is that there are hundreds, thousands probably of podcasts, articles, all kinds of websites about Reiki and spirit guides with people sharing their experiences and giving you tips and things on how to meet your guides and all those kind of things. For me, it was just organic. To be honest with you, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't seeking it, but I think I was during my Reiki, towards the end of my Reiki level one training, excuse me. And I had been working with Reiki level one for about a year. And I was laying on my bed and I was doing my self-healing, and I felt this presence hovering over me. And so I'm like, okay, I'm home alone. So, what is this? It was a unfamiliar energy, but it was not, in any way uncomfortable. It was very comforting, but just unfamiliar to me. So I opened my eyes and there was nothing there. So when I closed my eyes back, then within my spiritual sight, I saw this, I see people. So I saw this
Mhm.
person, and it was a male. of a male of an Asian descent person, and he was a big man, a big man. The closest I can get to description of him would be almost the size like a sumo type wrestler
Mhm.
type
Mhm.
energy. And when I closed my eyes back, I felt his presence even more, and I instantly knew, oh my gosh, this must be what they mean by a Reiki spirit guide, because I had never encountered that energy before. And as I said, I did not seek it out. And then going forward, I noticed not always, but sometimes I would feel that energy when I'm doing Reiki for someone. And fine, it wasn't every single time, but I found myself experiencing that in my own personal sessions as well as working with other people. As I progressed in my Reiki training, and specifically when I got to Reiki level 3, in one of the attunements that I passed, so this was several years later, right?
Mhm.
um, I felt like there were gloves on my hands, and I
Mhm.
felt all this energy, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And it must be my guide, because I'm a small statured person. And so my hands are not very big, but it felt like I had these huge gloves on. And so interestingly enough, the lady that I was working with, when we finished her attunement and we were just chatting, she said, I felt like your hands were huge. And in that instance, when she said that to me, I understood what was going on. He was there assisting me and supporting me in that endeavor. And one of the things I've learned about working with guides in general is that sometimes you will feel their presence and it will be very, light energy. Sometimes you'll feel them very dynamically. It's all depending on why they're presenting themselves to you and what it is that they're coming to assist you with. But that was my first encounters with that entity. I have many more stories, but that's kind of the essence
Yes.
of how that came about for me. What about you?
Oh, I love your sharing. Thank you so much. I It's interesting to me when I hear the stories of practitioners who work with spirit guides. And that is not unfamiliar. Those stories are not unfamiliar, but I love the the variety of the experiences. In my own personal Reiki practice, I have never worked with spirit guides. And it's interesting to me as I have this conversation with you and have experienced or shared with others that it never comes to my consciousness to call on spirit guides or to even expect spirit guides to be present. I do know without a shadow of a doubt that there are spirits and spirit guides present with each session that I am a part of with a client and with with every attunement. My personal practice from the time I was attuned first levels, level one and level two, by the same teacher within a couple of months. On that particular lineage, the practice of calling in spirit guides was not. Um, it was not the practice. So I was never. That was never a part of the instruction for me. So I really was following protocol relative to how to share Reiki with another person. Um, and even with my second Reiki 3 attunement in 2020, Reiki 3 attunement with a different lineage and a different teacher, that aspect was not a part of the practice. Now, what I do though, which is my way, and I will share with you why this is particularly my way. Before each Reiki session, I connect myself with the sources of Reiki. I connect myself consciously with the energy of Reiki that is coming up from the earth deep within the earth, and I connect myself with the energy of Reiki that is coming down from the atmosphere, particularly the sun. So that is my practice before every session. I go within and consciously connect with the sources of Reiki.
Mhm.
So that for me is the is my protocol, and is it is also how I teach my students, and and I believe for me this was a natural way because early on in my Reiki practice, actually before my Reiki practice, I had studied shamanism with Native American practitioners I'm sorry, in New Mexico, and also some practitioners who lived in the north of states. And the connection to Earth Mother is a very big part of the practice and grounding. And that was what I learned through those practices, was grounding myself deeply um, on the earth and in the earth to actually form a container to hold all of the intuitive energy that I have been blessed with. So instead of me being scattered all around because in, I was picking up so much energy
Mhm.
everywhere, I was taught the practice of grounding deeply into the earth. So for me, that had been a practice for many years. So when I was attuned Reiki, and was first taught that the sources of Reiki were emanating from the atmosphere, from the heavens, coming down, and also coming up from the earth, meeting in our hearts, flowing through our arms and coming out through our hands. That felt very familiar to me. That
Mhm.
felt very much in alignment with what how I naturally um, connected.
Mhm.
So over all of these years, Ia, and I've been practicing since 95, um, and have grown my practice, my own personal practice, my own personal way with Reiki since that time. Um, this has been without deviating. I don't know how
Yeah.
else to say that. This
Yes.
has been my way.
Yes.
And it's and and as I said before, I'm very aware of the presence of spirits in the room. I have also seen ancestors and spirit guides show up for clients who have come to receive. Also, when passing attunements, very aware of spirit guides, Reiki, specifically Reiki spirit guides in the room. Um, and I have yet to call forth for any of them to be present. So,
Yes.
so this is a very interesting conversation I feel that we're having because I believe that there might be some ways that some practitioners might feel that they are not practicing to the fullest if they have not been able to sense spirit guides or feel spirit guides, or even think to call on them. So we're here to share with you
Right.
all of the ways. Yes.
And to me, that's one of the things I love about Reiki is that it is unique to each individual, how it manifests in your life. And because it doesn't come with rigid rules or dogma and things like that, you have the ability to connect with the Reiki in your own personal way. And
Mhm.
that's what makes it yours. Like
Yes.
you always
Yes.
say, you are Reiki and Reiki is you.
Yes.
And so with me, as I said earlier, you know, being aware and working with spirit guides of different types and ancestral energies
Yes.
was a part of who I was already.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so in Reiki, there was no need for it to be a separate thing. It's just that it happened on its own, and which I knew it would. So, and we've talked about this. There's a prayer that I was taught by my Reiki master teacher that actually is like an invocation for Reiki, which says, Dear Dr. Usui and all available Reiki masters, please assist me in becoming a pure channel for loving Reiki energy and provide me the protection I need. So by saying that prayer that I was taught, you're actually inviting that energy in. And that was the prayer that she was taught. So that came through her particular lineage. Not everybody has a Reiki
Yes.
prayer that you say.
Yes.
So when I use it, because it's been very, very effective for me. I've used it
Mm.
consistently all these years. I teach it as an option to people as a way that here's another way you can connect, just like with teaching grounding. I teach the kanjis, and we teach the
Yes.
gokai, all those things, and
Yes.
people will find what works for them.
Yes. Yes.
And you mentioned that you will see the energies of guides in the room that show up for people,
Mhm.
even before the manifestation of the guide to me and after, because like I said, I don't feel his energy all the time and I don't necessarily, have that full presence.
Mm.
I will see other people's guides show up.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't call theirs. I am only calling mine,
Yes. Yes.
when I say that prayer. And since that time, I've had other healing guides show up for me at different intervals. But I think that it's the beauty also of Reiki for me is that it is not connected to any religion.
Yes.
And so, whether you see yourself as a religious person or
Mhm.
not, we all are spiritual beings. And so, however that manifests in your life and through your life is the
Yes.
way that you connect with it. And so, it's there as something to explore, like you would anything else, if that is something you're drawn to. And also, I have found in my own mediumship and assisting others in developing theirs, that sometimes it can be as like a comfort to know that you have, enlightened beings that are there assisting and supporting your
Yes.
work. Um,
Yes.
and also another thing that I have acknowledge, how sometimes you receive an intuitive message
Yes.
for someone when you're working with them. And that understanding to me is a comfort that sometimes it's like, okay, so where do I put that information? What do I
Mhm.
do with that information? And because I say my Reiki, what I'll call my Reiki invocation prayer and do my grounding work and my charging work before, I know I've created a sacred space for us
Mhm.
um, when I'm working with somebody. And so I feel confident that if a message comes, they will guide me how to manage that message.
Yes. Yes.
Because one of the things I've learned is that everything that you receive is not necessarily meant for you to share.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yes.
Sometimes it's for you to know how to move in your Reiki,
Yes. Yes.
where to place your hands, also what to focus on, because sometimes
Yes.
you will be guided to stay in a particular place,
Yes.
as opposed to move through all of the positions because it's based on what that individual might be needing,
Yes.
because we're channeling
Yes.
Reiki healing energy, the life force energy, and we're guided. We're not the source of it. So, source
Yes.
is helping us to know what to do. I remember one distinct thing that happened with regards to that for me. I was working on a lady, and I happened to know her well, and I saw a spirit that was standing in the corner watching us.
Mm.
And this spirit looked just like her. And I'm like, okay, this is very interesting. Here she is on my table and I'm working with her, but I see this person that looks just like her. So when we finished the session, because I knew her well enough to say something, I asked her, I said, your sister, I knew she had a sister, but I'd never met her sister. I said, does your sister look like you? And she said, no, she looks more like my dad, but I look just like my mom. And as soon as she said it, my
You know.
spirit ignited. I knew
Yeah.
it was her mom. And I
Yes.
said, so I told her, I said, so I saw your mom was here in the room and she had this big smile on her face and she was just grinning. And I intuited that the message for you was that she's so happy that you're doing things to take better care of yourself.
Mm,
And she was so excited that tears just came down her face because she said, I know I've been not doing as well as I could for myself. And I felt like my mother was wanting me to do better for myself. So in that instance, it was like this connection between my guides and her guides, is how I
yes.
interpret that, to bring that message forward to her, you know.
And again, I love how we are one in Reiki and we practice in different ways. And this is the beauty of the world of Reiki, as far as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
I, I, there's, how can I say it? My connection with the spirits and the spirit guides is so minimal. In all of these years of my practice in Reiki, I am so aware of their presence. Um, and how can if I can explain it this way, the way that my focus in my teaching Reiki um, to my students and to those who I meditate is very much directed inner. So my the focus for me in the way I practice Reiki with clients and I teach is to develop the connection with the inner knowing and the inner self and the connection with source. So that's always for me, that is all there is relative to my practice of Reiki. Is and so although I am very attuned and intuitive and in other parts of my life, my connection with spirit guides and with receiving messages is very sharp, but not in my Reiki world, which is very
Interesting.
interesting.
That is interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it? As we're speaking and I'm listening to you deeply, it's very familiar because so many of my sisters and brothers who practice have similar experiences as yours.
Mhm.
Um, and those students who come to me, I share with them that this is my way and this will be my focus, and that um, if many of them, not many, but some have specifically requested to be able to expand their experience to include more interaction with spirit guides and to learn how to be more present with spirit guides. And I will often introduce them to another teacher
Mhm.
because that is not what I teach, even though
Because it's not
folks,
what you do.
because it's not what I do.
Yeah.
And it's very natural to me, but it is not. And it's as I'm sitting here with you, it's just a beautiful, beautiful way of of demonstration. Both of us are devoted to Reiki and to our Reiki practice and to our way. And our ways serve us. Our
Yes.
ways serve
Yes.
us, and our way serves those folks who are called to come to us,
Exactly.
which is just beautiful.
It is.
Yes.
And, you know, I always say this to when I'm talking to people about Reiki, when I'm teaching Reiki, is that it's not something that I sought out. It just
No.
happens. And
Yes.
so, just like with the lady I just described, you know, I was going by my guidance to share that message with her.
Yes.
There are times when and it doesn't happen in every session, by any means.
Right.
Um, there have been times when a message will come to me and I'm not to share it. And
Yes.
so what I learned from that is I'm like, okay, so why are you giving me this message about this person? Well, what am I supposed to do with this information? And my job is to say a prayer for that person with
Yes.
regard to
Yes.
that issue. That's it.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if it's not going to be something that is going to help, like that message was an affirmation for that lady of what her
Yes.
spirit already knew about her mother's communication with her, it could, some people, especially if you don't know them, it could scare them and it could
Yes.
cause more harm than good by you sharing something that you don't have a clear guidance on,
Yes.
or a clear knowing that, yes, you should share this with this person. So it's something that is very, very sacred to me and
Yeah.
something that is to be handled in a very ethical way as far as what you would do with any information that you receive. So first of all, you need to be very clear on how you receive your messages and how you verify your messages. And that's a very personal thing. And
Yes.
then I believe that when it comes to other people, you want to check what is your relationship with that person
Mhm. Yes.
and that guidance that may be coming through from your guides, from your intuition, or however it manifests for you, because we
Yes.
know the clairs can manifest in all different kinds
Yeah. Yes. The
ways
clarity. Yes.
with people. Once you are sure that that is what you're being guided to do, and that if you feel that it's going to be a help to the person, and then you have to be mindful of how you express the message,
Yes.
if it is something that you truly believe that you are to share. But um, not everything that you receive is to be shared.
No.
I firmly do believe in that, but the fact that it comes to you, discerning what to do with that information is your responsibility.
And again, this is an interesting topic for me because I I too most times I do not share. Okay, because of my experience as a massage therapist for years, I am very in tune to the body.
Yeah.
So I and my Reiki sessions with a person, I'm very attuned to what is happening in that person's body, and also I intuit. I receive messages just almost nonstop, and I just let them flow through me. One of the things, my first Reiki, one of the words of wisdom from my first Reiki teacher was, "This is information in. This should be information in and information out, Ife Tayo," because of my level of sensitivity and other Reiki practitioners who I teach, there will be constant messages for me. I'm just always receiving something either about the body where, some muscles, tension, stress, some trauma that's being held, or some specific messages. And like you, Ia, I I'm always in the asking mode of, do I share this or not?
Mhm.
Not everything is to be shared. Some is just for me to know that, okay, so now I need to stay here longer, or now I
Yeah,
need to do this or that. Um, some of the information is is to be shared, and again, the because we cannot diagnose, we have to be really careful of the
absolutely.
language with which we share. And
Absolutely.
as you said earlier, some people, some things that we might discern or intuit, that individual might not be ready at this moment to even receive that message. So
Exactly.
I love what you said, and I practice this also, that I received this knowing for a reason, and perhaps it is for me to pray, to say a prayer for this situation, for this person, um, to ask for more Reiki to come bless the situation, for me to have to be in that place, with whatever information was brought to me. Um, so it, I love this conversation. I love when we come together,
Yes,
and
yes.
it is so rich to me of the different experiences and the different ways. Just for today, I will be true to my way and being, and I just am such a firm believer of that. And
Yes, I agree. And I
yeah,
think the other thing is that when Yolanda asked us to do this, she says this is not like teaching a class, just have conversation. And so we'll
yeah,
pick a topic and then we just go with it. I don't know what you're
yeah,
going to say, you don't know what
yes,
I'm going to say, and it just
yes,
flows. Because when the first time the topic came up and you said, well, I don't necessarily work with guides. And I said, well, I do. And I was like, that's a perfect conversation. And
yes, it
so, because I
is.
was looking forward to seeing how you work, because having gotten to know you, I know that you're very intuitive,
Yes,
So what do you do with that information versus what I do with the information? And that's what I have enjoyed immensely, among many things, as far as how we have our conversations. So I think it's hopefully this conversation is helping people who might have wondered about what to do with the
yes,
information, whether they were
yes,
taught or it's been coming up and they didn't have anybody to ask about what to do with it. I was fortunate that I did have contact with my teacher and talked to her about it, but I also had training as a medium. So I kind of
yes,
knew basically what to do with it, but I was
yes.
also able to have conversations with her. And she also was worked as a medium, a spiritualist. And so I got a wealth of information and understanding. Yeah, this is what you can expect and do and how you walk with that information. The other thing that just occurred to me is I have talked with people over the years who practice Reiki, and they are also mediums, and they say that even before the appointment with the person, sometimes even the day before, they kind of get a sense of what is necessary or what is needed. They get premonitions about the session.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
doesn't happen with me.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who do different types of readings say that happens if they have an appointment with someone, sometimes even the day before, the day of, before they even meet the person, they get information. I don't. Does that happen with you?
No.
Okay.
No, if it does, I'm not tuned into it. And because
Mm.
I want to say there probably is um a certain connection that happens. Just as a little tweak on that is when you probably have had the experience of scheduling an attunement with someone and they share with you how days before they've already felt as though they have been in
Oh,
process.
yes, yes, yes.
And so there is something that happens, I believe, when we connect and others, when we are connected with someone else around Reiki.
Hmm.
I just haven't consciously, really, interestingly enough, over all these years, there has not had been that conscious experience for me.
Yeah. And
And
I'm glad you said that about conscious because
yeah,
that has never happened to me. And if it has, I'm just not aware of it because I'm probably so distracted with other things. I'm not
yes.
thinking about it till it's that time?
Yes, that's it. I feel so too. What I'm loving about this portion of the conversation also, Ia, is that you brought up the fact that you were a trained medium. You studied and were trained in mediumship. And I was not. I was a body
Okay.
worker. I was a massage therapist
Okay.
and a meditator. These were my real two big practices as I came into Reiki. So it's interesting to me also how the background of a Reiki teacher or practitioner might influence.
Absolutely.
Isn't that,
Absolutely.
I've
Yeah.
never taken a survey and to,
That would be an interesting one.
it is, and I will say that my own daughter, Jamila, who is a medium and a psychic, she is a Reiki teacher, and the way she teaches is in as a way to develop your intuition
Mhm.
and your intuitive self. That
Okay.
is her path and that is her way. She
Yeah.
does not teach at all the same way that I teach. We really teach, and I was her teacher, but
Yes.
because of who she is and at her own calling in life, then this is the path that she's on as a teacher.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Yeah. That is very interesting that you trained her And
Yes,
she's
I
a
did.
trained medium, and so she
Yes,
teaches that from that perspective. And that again, going back to how we're all so unique, and so how we come into the world to manifest our gifts is so unique, and it
yes.
doesn't, and it's not cookie cutter. It doesn't need to be,
And it
and
does not
so
need to
you're
be.
free to express that energy however it chooses to come through you.
And
And I think that's awesome. Yeah.
I think it's perfection. It's
It is
awesome. As you
perfection,
said,
It
it
is.
is the
And it's,
divine, it's the
yeah,
divine plan. It's the way.
exactly.
Yes,
And you're a body worker. I was never a body worker, even though I studied
exactly.
some different types of energy healings before,
Yes.
I came to Reiki, but I was never a body worker attuned to that. Now, one of my things that I recognized in my life in relation to Reiki is that in my past formal, part of this life, I
Mm.
was an educator. And
Yes.
my specialty was working in special education, and I worked with children and adults, but mostly with infants, toddlers, and preschoolers who had severe physical, mental challenges.
Yeah.
And in that work, and this was before I had any formal training as a medium, and it was why it sent me in that direction because, I could communicate
Hmm.
so easily with the children and they would communicate telepathically with me. And then also, just growing up, I didn't know the words medium or psychic, but I understood that realm because some of my family members
Yes.
express their spirituality that way as well. And so by understanding that realm of connection, when it came to time for me to connect with Reiki, it was like, oh, okay. And so it was like an automatic connection. And I believe that is exactly why that I met the teacher that I did,
Yeah.
because that's the work that she was doing. And so when I talk about Reiki and how it came about for me, and when I think about it, it was the perfect match.
Yes.
So, because if my mediumship was going to manifest through my Reiki in a
Yes.
way like yours, it does manifest
Yes.
but differently for you, but mine is very dynamic. I will see spirits, I will
Hmm.
see animal totems, I will see
Yes.
scenes, all of this. That's
Yes.
part of who I am. So, of course, having a teacher in Reiki to say, great, that's fine. Here's how you manage that, as opposed to, well, that's not a part of Reiki, Um,
Absolutely.
it was all, as you say, a part of the divine plan. So again, even if you didn't have that experience and that's happening with you, because Reiki, as it works with our energy field and it balances, grounds, and heals all aspects of who we are and keeps us in divine alignment, those natural gifts and talents that you have are going to manifest.
Yes.
So if you are born to be a medium and you have not experienced that aspect of yourself, then by taking Reiki training and working with your Reiki and having attunements might be the things that's going to open that up for you.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
it could be that that's how it's supposed to come through for you, where
Yes.
other people it comes through in other ways. I just thought of very interesting story from, well, this has happened to me a couple of times, but in one that in particular, I have a young lady who took Reiki training from me, and in talking about the guides, and she's very, very intuitive. And so I always tell people when we get to the conversation about the Reiki guides, if this is not something that you connect with on a spirit
Hmm.
level, then I caution you to go experimenting or seeking out.
Hmm.
Let it be something that naturally comes to you or feels right to you,
Yes.
because you don't want to open yourself up to energies that you are playing with. You don't want to
Yes.
open up yourself to something that could cause you to have an experience that might be unpleasant or that you don't know what to do with.
Yes.
So, long story short, so this young lady, she calls me in a panic one day, and I'm saying, "What's the matter? Calm down." She says, "Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened to me last night. My grandma, she came and sat by the side of my bed, and it was so real that I thought she was really there, but I know she's in the spirit realm. She's not on this earth anymore." And I said, "Just calm down." I said, "What have you been doing?" And she said, "Well, I was working trying to ask my healing guides to come forward." I said, "Stop right." I said, "Do you remember?" And I know I do this in every class. I said, "Be careful what you ask for and make sure that this right for you. You don't want to go playing around in spirit realm just out of
Yes,
curiosity. That's disrespectful to the spiritual energies. And you don't know
yes,
what you open yourself up to." And so I said, "Have you been asking for that?" And she said, "Yes, ma'am, I have." I said, "So what are you freaking out about?
yes,
You manifested that
yes,
spirit, and it's your grandmother. Why are you afraid of
yes,
her?" You know?
absolutely.
And so it was an example. And since that time, I tell this story when I'm teaching. I
Mhm.
said, so be very mindful what you're playing around with, you know?
Yes,
And be
absolutely.
sincere in your desire to have certain experiences. And then
Mhm.
when it manifests, ask yourself, why did I call this? Why am I going to freak out about it?
Yeah, right.
That didn't make any sense to me. I said, so if this is scary to you, stop. Thank your grandmother spirit for coming and
Yes,
ask her, "I'm good. I understand now. Thank you."
yes,
Because you can cause yourself undue trauma if you're dealing in realms that you aren't ready to deal with no understanding. Yes, to
and-
some people like myself, things just naturally happen, but that's
yes,
how I'm wired. You know,
yes.
everybody's not wired the same. So just like with you, you're very much aware of it, but that's not how it manifests through you. So she called forth her grandmother and then wasn't really ready to receive that kind of spiritual communication. So we do have to be mindful. The spirit realm is the spirit realm, it's real.
It
And
is
we,
real.
we are manifestors, we co create with the universe. So you have to be careful what you're calling forth in your life.
And there is no separation of spirit world to me, of
No.
spirit world and this physical world on this earth. Um, and back to what you were just sharing, I remember I have a memory of um, also I was very intuitive as a child also, and I said that I could read minds, but I was so tuned into the thoughts of people. I just knew what people were thinking and feeling from very early on. Um, and as and I did not when I went to school, I studied. I was, I said I had a photographic memory, and I did. If I saw something, I remembered it. Once I saw it, I remembered it. But as I grew, I had different interests and went to college and did all of that. Well, when my children were little and I had begun meditating, and I was meditating regularly and consistently twice a day. I was a transcendental meditator, so there was a program twice a day, 20 minutes, and it really began to open me up again uh, to those gifts that I had. And I remember um, my children were probably 11 and 7 at that time, 11 and 8, and I was beginning to be so open that I was being inundated with audible um with clairaudience, and I was just hearing everything, and it was very loud for me. And
Mhm.
I was working full time and being a single mother, and I asked specifically for spirits and the spirit guides and 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 the creator to please tone this
Yes.
down. I
Mhm.
asked for that because it was overwhelming for me. It was very distracting, and I did not want to turn away the gift, but I did make the request that it come to me in a way that I could handle it. And
Yeah.
so what happened, and I remember this, it all began to come. in a way that I became extra kinetically sensitive. Like this is how I feel everything this way through my hands. And I'm sitting here right now with tingling hands because I just feel energy all the time through hands. And and since that time I was not a massage therapist at that time or a body worker, but my heart was requesting me to learn body work to touch. And um I felt really that I was a gifted massage therapist. I could feel intuitively the body. I could feel what was going on at that time. So that's so actually I'm sharing this story as an just to support what you were sharing earlier, that of the request. Number one, know ourselves, know what we're ready for at any given time. Be respectful of the request that we've made and how that request is answered. And
Yes,
we can also make the request that that whatever information that we are to receive come to us in a way that we can receive it. Um,
absolutely.
we all have that gift. We all have that power to
Absolutely.
make that request. Yes,
Yeah. I had a similar experience because I would see spirits and um, sometimes they would present in a way that was very startling.
yes,
And at a point in time, I asked, I can't do this. This is
yes,
too much for me. And
yes,
so I prayed and says, I hear you, I feel you, I don't need to see you.
yes,
Please don't do this to me.
yes,
Sometimes it would be such a dynamic image that I didn't know for sure whether it was a real person standing
yes,
there. I mean, when I say a real person, of in the
yes,
physical body or not. And so I prayed and I asked the please just can we change this? Can we shift
yes.
this kind of thing? And the request was heard. And so what happens to me now, I may not see the person physically standing there, but I see
Mhm.
in my spirit eye. Um,
Yes,
and so that's much more, uh, I'm able to receive that much easier.
yes.
And also, what that helped me to understand is that and because of the environment and when that I grew up in, it helped me to not be so wary of when am I going to see something,
Ah, yeah,
Um,
yes,
because in my earlier life, that was the environment that I lived in, and that was part of the anxiety of I never knew when I was going to encounter some being that I wasn't ready for, and not knowing with it actually there was actually a physical being or not. So
yes,
that was very uncomfortable. But then
yes.
years and years later, this was maybe just a couple of years ago, I was doing a healing session. It was for me. The session was for me. And one of the images that I used to see years ago came to me, and I'm like, okay, I haven't seen you like this in a long time. And this spirit said to me, I was always there to
Mm,
protect you. You just didn't
did it.
understand. And I
Yes.
didn't because I felt it so intensely
Mhm.
that I couldn't distinguish between what was real and what was an
Yes.
apparition. And
Yeah.
so I'm sharing that, and thank you for sharing your story, is to let people know that if you're having experiences that are you don't understand or uncomfortable, you have the right to
Hmm.
ask for it to become to you in a different way.
Absolutely.
You absolutely have the right to ask that, and spirit will listen.
Yes.
But again, don't ask for things that you're not sure that you're ready to receive,
Yes.
because what is that saying? Be careful what you ask for, you just might get it.
That's the saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
And now
I,
here lately, I guess the last couple of generations, everybody wants to be psychic. Everybody wants to be
yeah.
intuitive. Everybody wants to be an empath. And we all have those abilities. They're
Yes.
part of who we are as human beings. We have all of those gifts. It's just they manifest differently for different people and also at different times in your life.
Yeah.
So you just have to appreciate who you are at whatever given time. And if you want more, just make sure you do your homework, and
And
find a teacher that you can trust
yes,
to assist
that's it.
you rather than try to navigate some things on your own. Yeah,
That's the point that I was going to make. Please find someone that can walk with you in this path if you feel that this is the path for you, and that you want to be open to being more in tune with and in touch with spirit guides and ancestors. So, on that note, I feel that we have completed this conversation,
I agree.
delightfully so, and we're so grateful that you have tuned in to be with us today, and that you have received exactly what it was that your spirit brought you here for to receive from us today. And so, until next time, um, have a beautiful life.
Thank you for joining us.